Oh my goodness. I'm picking up the my device and it's so sensitive. I hear my hands like touching it. Hey everybody, how are you? How are you? How are you on this wonderful evening? Well, morning, afternoon, or night, based on wherever you're tuning in from, or based on wherever you catch the recap. For me, it's night. It's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, May 22nd, 2025. And we are going to go over the testimony that has been given in the case of the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, before we get into today's testimony, I want to kind of refresh and review on yesterday's testimony from The Punisher, which, by the way, I have seen The Punisher personally in person in a mail review multiple times in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was a few years ago. There were a bunch of male exotic dancers that would come. I think they had it every Tuesday and Thursday night. And he was one of the featured dancers. And I do have pictures. I just have to dig through the crates to find them. But yeah, he's got some real good dancing skills. But we're gonna listen to the testimony from yesterday before we get into Kid Cudi, just to refresh everybody, because I think it's important. I think it's important for us to kind of refresh, to kind of track the government's presentation. You know what I mean? Look at the day before, take a look back, and then kind of move forward.
Have been censored to comply with YouTube's guidelines. What you're about to hear is a voiced-over reading of male dancer and Agent Gannon's testimony from the Sean Diddy.
So we're going to be listening to the Punisher as well as the Special Agent Gannon.
Male dancer and Agent Gannon testimony from beginning to end.
The government calls Mr. Sheree Hayes. Where are you from?
Harlem, New York.
What was your work?
Male exotic dancer. I was known as the Punisher.
Do you recognize these two?
I do. Mr. Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. I was hired in 2012 to create a sexy erotic scene for them.
Why were you called the Punisher?
Playing basketball on West 4th Street.
The woman who called you, what time did she book you for?
Midnight at Trump Tower, Central Park West. Striptease for a small group of friends.
When you got there, how did Miss Ventura appear?
In a bathroom with nothing underneath and a wig. I was expecting a crowd, but there was no one else. She told me she and her husband wanted to create a sexual scene with baby oil.
What did she hand to you?
$800.
How was the room?
Dimly lit, electric candles. Bowls of water with bottles of baby oil in them. She told me not to acknowledge her husband, not to look at him when he came out.
Did he come out?
Yes, he was naked, but I could not see his face. It was like what a Muslim woman wears. You see only the eyes. He had a bottle of Astroglide.
How did you recognize it?
So Diddy came out wearing a hijab to disguise his face. So that's interesting. I'm guessing initially when they were utilizing these professionals, I'm going to say professionals, until there was probably a comfortability level with the individual, they disguised their faces.
I use it, the purple top.
How did it end?
She went into the other room with him. When she came back, she asked if I wanted to finish. I said no. If they were happy, I was happy. She gave me more money.
Did you do it again?
Yes, 8 or 12 times.
How did you end up recognizing her?
I was a fan of Mr. Combs and followed him on Instagram. I saw her on it.
This would be a good place to break.
And they did. They took a break, then came back and continued.
How are these sessions scheduled?
I'd be reached out to at 5 or 7 p.m. for later. They'd ask for a sexy scene, but I knew it would be more.
How would it start?
Baby oil, a sexy atmosphere. Mr. Combs would direct.
How did the direction work?
Mr. Combs might say, sit forward, move the camera, or what would happen, One time during he dropped a stack of money, he said, I like this shit.
How much baby oil did you use?
A lot. We were supposed to be glistening as much as possible.
How long would they last?
4 hours, a lot of waiting, maybe 40 minutes or so. I was supposed to finish in a specific spot.
Then what?
She would leave with Mr. Combs, 10 or 15 minutes. She'd return in a bathrobe and pay me $2,000 or $1,200 cash.
Did you think Ms. Ventura was enjoying herself?
At this moment, the defense objected, and it was sustained.
Did you use drugs?
I am not a marijuana smoker, but I did pull a Bill Clinton. I was handed a joint.
Did you have performance issues?
Having the woman's partner there, yes.
Did the issues affect your pay?
At this moment, the defense objected, but was overruled.
I wasn't sure how they calculated it. One time, Mr. Combs threw condoms on the couch next to us. I struggled. It was a failure.
What happened?
They went out. I finished. She came back and thanked me for privacy.
What did you think would happen next?
I was worried I would not be used again. I hadn't done my job. He had said, I want to see you pay her, and I couldn't.
Are you writing a book?
Yes, self-help about my ED. It's advice.
In your book, do you write about your time with Mr. Combs and Ms. Ventura?
Yes, I call them a married, wealthy couple.
How long is it?
6 pages out of 186, I sensationalize it. I wanted it to be enjoyable. Highs and lows.
No further questions.
At this moment, the cross-examination began.
I'll try to make this as harmless as possible. Congratulations on your book. What's it called?
In Search of Freezer Meat. What's harder than that?
Good title. You have a website?
Yes, now I'm a co-owner. All the male dancers are independent contractors.
You've been doing this for 25 years?
30 years, coming up on a big anniversary.
You dance with them?
A professional dry hump.
For 30 years. Thousands of ladies. You try to not develop feeling for them, right?
You try not to. It's a job.
But you talked with Cassie.
Cordial.
She asked to be able to call you.
Just to set the sessions up. We were never asked to talk.
She was comfortable with you.
She said so.
You had feelings for her.
Incorrect.
But you thought she was only doing this with you.
That is correct. She'd said it was a special occasion.
You did develop feelings for her?
That's not correct.
You told the government. The government's notes say you developed feelings for her.
That may have been taken out of context.
You used your 25 years experience.
This was a different scene. Usually I aim for humor.
You wouldn't try to dry hump someone who didn't want to be dry humped, correct?
Yes, it is important to read the room.
So you read the room with Cassie and she wanted...
At this moment, the prosecution objected, and it was sustained.
Was Mr. Combs' request that you
It was a demand, a strong suggestion.
Cassie paid you even when she canceled, right?
Yes, $500.
Mr. Hayes, I wish you success with your book.
Thank you.
What made you think Ms. Ventura was enjoying herself?
It was the first time unprotected.
without the details.
At this moment, the defense objected, and the prosecution said,
No further questions.
Then the defense asked one more question.
What do you mean by steamy?
I felt it was enjoyable for Ms. Ventura and Mr. Combs.
At this moment, the testimony of the male dancer was over, and the government called their next witness.
The government calls Special Agent Gerard Gannon. Where do you work?
HSI in Miami in the National Security Group.
In March 2024.
The HSI Human Group. And Labor in Miami.
What time did the search begin?
After 3 p.m.
Why so late?
We learned Mr. Combs and his family were flying out of the country.
Was there a pier on the property on Star Island?
Yes, we had to monitor it
Why did you have to break open the gate?
to make sure bad actors wouldn't have time to put those who would search in danger.
What's this a photo of?
The pool and the pier.
What did you find here?
Parts of AR-15 rifles, sex toys, and Astroglide. These magazines were loaded with bullets.
What do these show?
The serial numbers have been cut out.
Let's turn to 2 more exhibits. What are these?
The ammunition we found.
Okay, I'm stopping here to point out the fact that the government just identified the fact that Homeland Security Agent Gannon is testifying to the fact that they found pum-pums with the serial numbers cut off. That is illegal. That's what's called a throwaway. Okay? That is a federal crime. And the thing about it is a lot of people who are not familiar with the law or how the judicial system overall works, in this case, they're looking at it from a standpoint of, oh, we're only hearing about this mainly toxic relationship between Cassie and Diddy that lasted so long. We're hearing about DV. We're hearing about, baby oil and Astroglide and candles. But a lot of people are missing the key components. People are not picking up what the government is putting down. They're more focused on the relationship aspect, but the government only needs to prove 2 predicate acts in order to validate the RICO charge. And so far, they've done so. They've done so by way of showing that Diddy utilized his employees to set up the FOs. They've also done the force, and they've also proven the force and or force, threat, and coercion part of their case by the testimony of one of the people that Cassie and Diddy reached out to, one of the professionals, the first gentleman, the experienced guy, Daniel Phillips. He testified to Diddy actually physically assaulting Cassie during the FO in order to gain her compliance. You understand what I'm saying? So I think people are only looking at the surface level of what the government is putting out, and not really paying attention to the letter of the law. Because at the end of this and during closing statements, the government is going to reference where they actually identified all of the different charges that are included in the indictment based on testimony as well as their evidence. Okay? And the jury that will then, kind of be like, yeah, that they did say that. Yeah, that did happen. Yeah, So it's like a lot of people watching this are like, well, I don't see anything outside of a bad relationship. The devil is in the details. The devil is in the details. That's where it is.
And these platform high heels, how high are they?
7 inches.
This may be a good place to break for the day.
At this moment, the testimony of the agent was paused, and that was it for the day. What did you think of the male dancers?
Okay, so that was the end of the day. And now we're going to go to today, the events that occurred in court today with Kid Cudi. I'm turning this down so that I could get that video set up. Working smarter, not harder, guys. This is a voiceover reading of exactly what occurred in court today in the trial, in the case of the United States versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. This is exactly what was said during the proceedings, but edited to meet YouTube guidelines. So any curse words, anything that may be frowned upon by the YouTube algorithm is going to be bleeped out. But if you're following along and listening, you'll kind of figure what they're talking about. You'll be able to figure out what they're talking about.
What you're about to hear is Scott Milo Morales, representing Josh Brock's testimony from beginning to end.
When did you carry cash for Mr. Combs?
$50,000 on his private jet.
Did you pick up cash for Mr. Combs?
$10,000 at Western Union from Combs Enterprises.
What long-term relationships of Mr. Combs were you aware of?
Cassie, Kim, Gina.
Who was Kim?
Mother of his children.
Cassie?
Girlfriend.
Gina?
Another girlfriend.
The jet flight to Las Vegas? What was the layout of the jet?
4 chairs, a partition. I had a partial view over my right shoulder.
When you witnessed violence by Mr. Combs on Ms. Ventura, why didn't you intervene?
My career.
After the last glass breaking, what did Mr. Combs do?
He came forward. Cassie stayed in the back. He asked me to get creams to conceal the bruising on her face.
How did you pay for it?
Corporate credit card.
Why did you leave Combs Enterprises?
I didn't think I should be covering things up, like buying the witch hazel. Also, my father had prostate cancer.
Any of violence?
He threw things at Gina in the entryway of the main home on Star Island.
Okay, I need to run that back a little bit because I want you guys to listen to another predicate act that the president, that the government has slipped in there. Okay?
Private jet.
Did you pick up cash for Mr. Combs?
$10,000 at Western Union from Combs Enterprises.
What long-term relationships of Mr. Combs were you aware of?
Cassie, Kim, Gina.
Who was Kim?
Mother of his children.
Cassie?
Girlfriend.
Gina?
Another girlfriend.
The jet flight to Las Vegas? What was the layout of the jet?
4 chairs, a partition. I had a partial view over my right shoulder.
When you witnessed violence by Mr. Combs on Ms. Ventura, why didn't you intervene?
My career.
After the last glass breaking, what did Mr. Combs do?
He came forward. Cassie stayed in the back. He asked me to get creams to conceal the bruising on her face.
How did you pay for it?
Corporate credit card.
Why did you leave Combs Enterprises?
Okay, so Diddy told his assistant, Mr. Calpin, to get creams to conceal the bruising on Cassie. And they paid for it by way of a corporate credit card. That is him utilizing his company to shield him from potential prosecution for that assault. Okay? That's another predicate act involved in the RICO.
Prizes.
I didn't think I should be covering things up, like buying the witch hazel. Also, my father had prostate cancer.
Any of violence?
He threw things at Gina in the entryway of the main home on Star Island.
What was he throwing?
Green apples.
How hard?
Very hard. Later, I took the medicine bag into the room. Mr. Combs wanted me to leave quickly.
Then what?
I heard Gina at the gate and male voices.
Who?
Security.
When you left, what did you do?
I collected myself, then went to work for an integrated marketing firm.
Why did you go to work for Combs Enterprises?
He was an incredible entrepreneur. I have learned from him.
What did Brian do as COO?
Ensuring profitability of each unit. I was an employee when Revolt TV launched.
Tell me about it.
We were on the 6th floor of 1710 Broadway. Everyone was there. It was momentous.
Diversity was important to Mr. Combs.
Specifically for African Americans.
What did Blue Flame do?
Marketing for C-Rock.
What is Diageo?
They own Johnny Walker and others. Mr. Combs set up a marketing entity for C-Rock.
Your job, what was it?
For example, Mr. Combs would say, "We are going to leave the house." He meant 3 to 5 minutes. I had a checklist for the bags and toiletry. It was a bad look in me if something wasn't in there.
Is there a binder near you? I can't read that.
It says Southern District.
I'm handing you something to refresh your recollection. Take a look at it as long as you want to. You ran an off-site training, a graduate from Harvard Business School. Also, Kenny.
Okay, we have a commercial.
In my throat that I cannot scratch.
But all of these details are key and important. I don't know if the jury is probably honestly sitting there kind of confused as well, like with all of this information, because it's a lot of information, but the acts, the criminality is being outlined as the government continues on with each witness.
I remember.
You were effective, right?
I worked hard.
I don't know how you'll answer. Was it good or bad?
Complicated.
He didn't need to yell at you when you brought 2 waters.
I worked hard.
Okay, who was Biggie?
A huge rapper who unfortunately passed away.
Wasn't Biggie's birthday a holiday at Combs Enterprises?
Yes,
Was it a creative environment?
absolutely. It attracted all kinds of creative people. Lawyers, musicians, advertising people.
You used a corporate credit card?
Yes.
How did Mr. Combs pay?
KK held his wallet with a black American Express app.
You have no reason to think he kept track of how baby oil was paid for?
No reason.
Or applesauce?
He loves applesauce.
On cheeseburgers?
On everything.
Let's talk about the plane. You heard glass breaking. You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
The incident with Gina. You walk into the house. There's a thin table.
I don't know.
You don't remember how a person could get out of the gate at 2-Star Island?
No, I just heard screaming and commotion.
Screams of terror or of how can I open this gate?
I don't know how to distinguish between the two.
He threatened your jobs, but did he physically threaten you?
No,
You talked about Kim Porter, how she was different.
his respect for her. They had incredible kids.
Thank you. When you set up hotel room for Mr. Combs and Miss Porter, there was no baby oil, right?
Lotions.
You expressed caution about hotels, why you cleaned the room after.
This is, just so we know, this is actual, this is the defense up to bat.
Afterward.
Hotel staff could sell photos. Everyone wants a payday.
You sent him a photo of him and Kim Porter?
After she died, I was heartbroken for him.
You were close?
I invited him to my wedding. I didn't hear back.
At this moment, the defense objected, and everyone in the courtroom was
Oh.
surprised.
My bad, it's the defense, it's the prosecution.
And they continued.
You respected him.
Yes.
What's this photo of?
Me, KK, and Mr. Combs at Teterboro Airport. He just got the jet. That's why there's champagne.
You're happy there, right?
No, refresh it. It's that I was glad I had found the mascara in the back seat.
They found you and subpoenaed you?
I had to retain counsel right away.
At this moment, the redirect began.
Which incidents shook you?
The plane with Cassie and the apples with Gina. I felt guilty. I didn't do anything after the incident with Cassie on the plane.
But you didn't see any injuries?
People can be injured without injuries being visible. The tonality and tension with the apples he threw at Gina, it was troubling.
You told Ms. Coram about both incidents?
Yes, and I told her I am unwilling to stand behind the behavior that I was quitting.
Did Christina say she would quit?
No,
How long did she stay after you told her?
until recently.
At this moment, the government called their next witness.
We call Scott Muscuddy. What did you do for work?
I'm an actor and musician, known as Kid Cudi.
Who is this?
Cassie. We dated in 2011.
Who else was she involved with?
Sean Combs.
What did you know about their status?
That she and Sean Combs had some problems and they weren't dating anymore.
In December 2011, did law enforcement respond to your home?
Yes, I had a break-in. Cassie called me at 5:30 or 6 a.m. She said Sean Combs had found out about us. She asked me to pick her up, so I did. Yeah.
Why?
She was worried,
What was her demeanor?
very stressed and worried.
Where did you go?
The Sunset Marquis.
Why?
I thought it was safe, off the radar.
Who else did you speak with?
Capricorn Clark. She sounded near tears.
What did she say?
That's Sean Combs in the car near my house.
At this moment, the defense objected but was overruled.
You called Sean.
So, you guys hear that? One of his employees called Kid Cudi and told Kid Cudi that Diddy was breaking into his house. Okay? So that is that's definitely damning. That's why his defense team objected, but it was overruled, which means this line of questioning and testimony will continue. I pulled it back a little bit, guys. Listen carefully.
She was worried,
What was her demeanor?
very stressed and worried.
Where did you go?
The Sunset Marquee.
Why?
I thought it was safe, off the radar.
Who else did you speak with?
Capricorn Clark. She sounded near tears.
What did she say?
That's Sean Combs in the car near my house.
At this moment, the defense objected but was overruled.
You called Sean Combs?
I did. He said, I'm over here waiting for you.
When you arrived, what did the outside look like?
Pretty normal.
Any security camera?
Yes, but I found out they weren't working. But the security cameras had been moved.
Did you move them?
No.
What did you see inside your home?
Gifts were open, some stuff I got from Chanel. And my dog was locked up in the bathroom.
How did you usually leave your dog?
I let him roam.
How long had you had your dog?
3 years.
What changes were behavior of your dog after the break-in?
Jittery, on edge all the time. I got back in and called Sean Combs again. I was looking for him. I wanted to fight him, you know.
Did he answer?
Yeah, he said, I'm on my way. I thought to myself,
At this moment, the defense objected on the grounds of non-responsive and was overruled. And the judge told the prosecution to ask a new question.
When you saw Cassie, how did she seem?
depressed.
Did you see Cassie in Connecticut?
Yes, she needed it.
Did Mr. Combs call you?
Yes, he hit me a few times.
Hit?
Called me.
What did you say?
That I didn't want to talk with him. He broke into my house, hurt my dog.
Did you and Ms. Ventura break up?
Yes.
What about your car?
My dog's babysitter called me and told me my car was on fire.
Where were you?
At a relative of my ex-girlfriend.
Where did you go?
To my house, 8925 Hollywood Hills Road.
Let me show you 6 pictures. Do you recognize?
My Porsche. That's the damage to my Porsche from the Molotov cocktail.
Who took these photos?
Chip, a good friend and collaborator.
What's depicted here?
The hole they cut in the roof of my car to put in the Molotov cocktail.
What was your reaction to your car being set on fire?
What the fuck?
At this moment, the defense objected but was overruled.
Was the damage on your car present before the call from the dog sitter?
No.
I'm surprised they didn't bleep out that expletive about the car. I'm surprised they let that go.
Did you think it was accidental or intentional?
Let me run that back. Let me run that back, y'all.
Did Mr. Combs call you?
Yes, he hit me a few times.
Hit?
Called me.
What did you say?
That I didn't want to talk with him. He broke into my house, hurt my dog.
Did you and Ms. Ventura break up?
Yes.
What about your car?
My dog's babysitter called me and told me my car was on fire.
Where were you?
At a relative of my ex-girlfriend.
Where did you go?
To my house, 8925 Hollywood Hills Road.
Let me show you 6 pictures. Do you recognize?
My Porsche. That's the damage to my Porsche from the Molotov cocktail.
Who took these photos?
Chip, a good friend and collaborator.
What's depicted here?
The hole they cut in the roof of my car to put in the Molotov cocktail.
What was your reaction to your car being set on fire?
What the fuck?
At this moment, the defense objected but was overruled.
Was the damage on your car present before the call from the dog sitter?
No.
Did you think it was accidental or intentional?
Intentional.
Where did you last see Ms. Ventura?
At the Soho house. I reached out to Sean Combs and said, let's talk. This is getting out of hand.
At this moment, the defense asked for a sidebar. The judge said, "Do you have an objection?" The defense said yes, and the judge said, "Sustained. Disregard and move on."
Who set up the meeting at Soho House?
D-Rock and my manager.
What was Mr. Combs doing?
Standing there like a Marvel supervillain. He said, we were homies. You know that is my girl.
What did you say?
I thought you had broken up. Then Sean Combs offered me water twice. It was weird, Sean Combs being so calm.
What did Cassie say?
That we have fallen in love, things happened.
What did you say to Mr. Combs?
What about my car? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I walked away.
Did you see Sean Combs later?
A few years later, also at Soho House, he said, I'm just sorry for all that bullshit. I was surprised, so I found peace with it.
No further questions at this time.
I want to ask you some questions about your Porsche in 2022.
2012.
I apologize. You get a call about damage to your vehicle. Any surveillance photos?
No, my dog's babysitter did send me pictures of the damage.
The DNA taken, are you aware it came back being a female?
At this moment, the prosecution objected on the grounds of no foundation, and it was sustained.
Do you know there were DNA results?
At this moment, the judge allowed the question.
No.
Ms. Ventura told you it was over?
We just stopped talking.
You told this honorable court and this jury that she played you?
Yes.
She played you and you had no clue?
No clue.
In 2011, you went on a tour?
Yes.
65 locations?
Yeah.
At that time, Sean Combs as an icon, fair to say?
Yes.
You and Ms. Ventura had a sexual relationship.
At this moment, the prosecution objected. Then they had a sidebar, but then continued.
Mr. Steele, can I?
At this moment, the judge said, no, you can do that on redirect.
Do you want to tell me something?
Sean Combs asked about me doing a song with Ms. Ventura in 2010.
Thank you. You believe they left your front door unlocked?
Yes?
No forced entry?
No.
Just presence open, door in the bathroom. I'm not belittling, just asking. You called Sean Combs?
Yeah.
He was calm?
Yes.
You went to see him? You didn't think he had a gun?
I couldn't call it.
You are a strong person. That's how you categorize yourself?
Yeah, this crossed the line.
Ms. Ventura told you she was abused,
Yes,
but she never said she was sexually abused. True?
she did not.
You loved her? Tell me if I'm wrong.
I did.
You got played by the same person who played Mr. Combs, Cassie Ventura, in the 13 years since. Have you ever been notified in California that there has been any more action on this car fire?
No,
Did Ms. Ventura have multiple phones?
I don't remember.
35-12.
If I said it, I said it.
Do you know what a burner phone is?
Untraceable.
The trespass. You call it a break-in. Ms. Ventura told you she'd given your home address to Mr. Combs.
Yes, in the morning.
No more questions. Thanks.
No problem.
What did Ms. Ventura confide in you about abuse?
That he would hit her, sometimes kick her.
The day of the break-in, was she carefree?
No.
What did Capricorn Clark tell you?
Sean Combs and an affiliate forced her into a car to come to my house. I called the police.
How would you describe Cassie that day?
Just really shook. Him finding out about us.
Why did your relationship with Ms. Ventura end?
The drama, it was getting out of hand. I wanted to give space.
What drama?
The break-in. For my safety. Her safety.
At this moment, the defense objected on the grounds of speculation, but was overruled.
Why did you have safety concerns?
Because I knew Sean Combs was violent.
At this moment, the defense asked the judge to approve.
Okay. So, his statement that he knew Diddy was violent is also, it's not a predicate act, but it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? That's rather telling because clearly Cassie shared a lot of details possibly with Kid Cudi during their relationship. Possibly even showing him photos, possibly even, recounting incidents of violence and abuse that she'd experienced, and probably even telling him about other events surrounding Diddy's anger.
And they had a sidebar, and then they continued.
The meeting at the Soho House, Mr. Combs said, I don't know what you're talking about your car. Did you believe him?
At this moment, the defense objected, and the judge told him to rephrase the question.
What was your understanding?
That he was lying.
No further questions.
The judge asked if there was any recross, and the defense said, no, Your Honor.
What's your name?
Myla Morales. I'm a celebrity makeup artist.
Do you recognize anyone you've worked for?
Sean Combs, in the gray sweater and white collar.
When did you work for Mr. Combs?
2000 to 2005.
Then who?
Rihanna,
Who else?
Jennifer Lopez, Cassie.
When did you work with Cassie?
2007 until COVID. She was like a little sister to me.
How much older than her are you?
A few years.
Did you see her with injuries on her face?
2010 Grammy weekend. Prince party.
Where were you with her?
Beverly Hills. I fell asleep in the room and woke up to a commotion. Cassie walked in. Then Sean asking, where the fuck is she?
What did he do?
Walk into the bedroom, shut the door.
What did you hear behind the door?
Yelling and screaming, both of them. Then Sean Combs left.
What did you see next?
Cassie, she had a swollen eye and knots on her head. I packed her things up. We went to my house.
Then?
My doctor friend came and examined her to see if she had a concussion.
That is so sad. That's really, really sad. So, I mean, based on this testimony here, this individual, while she didn't witness the actual altercation, she did witness the aftermath, which is just as good as witnessing in a court of law. Because, guys, listen, the judge admonishes the jury that if someone walks into the courtroom with an umbrella that's dripping wet, you can automatically assume that it's raining outside. That's a textbook admonishment that judges give to a jury while considering testimony as well as evidence. So with her actually explaining the events that occurred during this, them storming in, going into the bedroom, closing the door, and Diddy leaving out, and then Cassie coming out all bruised and lumped up, they can definitely surmise that there was a physical altercation which left her battered and bruised.
When did you work for Mr. Combs?
2000 to 2005.
Then who?
Rihanna.
Who else?
I ran
Jennifer
it back
Lopez,
a little bit, y'all.
Cassie.
When did you work with Cassie?
2007 until COVID. She was like a little sister to me.
How much older than her are you?
A few years.
Did you see her with injuries on her face?
2010 Grammy weekend. Prince party.
Where were you with her?
Beverly Hills. I fell asleep in the room and woke up to a commotion. Cassie walked in, then Sean asking, where the fuck is she?
What did he do?
Walk into the bedroom, shut the door.
What did you hear behind the door?
Yelling and screaming, both of them. Then Sean Combs left.
What did you see next?
Cassie, she had a swollen eye and knots on her head. I packed her things up. We went to my house.
Then?
My doctor friend came and examined her to see if she had a concussion.
What were you afraid of?
Sean, I feared for my life.
At this moment, the defense objected and said, move to strike, and the judge overruled it.
How long did she stay?
Days,
Have you done interviews about this?
a couple.
Were you paid?
No.
Did you provide evidence?
Photos of me and Kim Porter, early 2000s.
Were you paid?
$1,000.
No further questions.
Did you assist Ms. Ventura for any red carpet events?
Possibly. And some music video, black and yellow.
We have photos. 647, please. The goal was that she looked put together.
Yes.
These photos show your artistry. You reposted them on Instagram.
Yes.
You were in her hotel room, though you lived near.
Yes.
You met Ms. Ventura's family.
Her father.
You called a doctor and a lawyer.
The lawyer lives in San Francisco.
You provided emotional support.
Yes.
You did an interview with CNN and with Extra TV, Don Lemon, Piers Morgan.
Yes.
Did Dateline reach out to you?
I don't look at those anymore.
Did you ask the government if you could do more? Look at this. So you asked permission to speak to Dateline?
Of course I asked.
After the incident, neither Mr. Combs or anyone from his company ever approached you.
No one did.
For a documentary, were you paid?
Therapy?
You sold the photos to CNN for $1,000?
Yes.
No further questions.
Frederick Zemmour, the general manager of the Hermitage Hotel LA. Why are you here?
I received a subpoena.
Are you familiar with the hotel's reservation system?
We have a system called Opera. We enter in personal preferences.
How long do you keep them?
They stay forever.
Who reserved this room for Sean Combs?
Ryan Lopez. Also other names were used.
When was this profile first created?
2006, it said Sean Combs and Bad Boy Records. Then they changed it to Jackie Star.
Let's look at 2011 to 2012. This reservation, what's the bill?
Over $2,000. It says only charge if Christina Coram approves.
What were the instructions?
Put room out of service for cleaning. Like the room hot, set it for 75 degrees.
What are these complaints?
Candle wax on carpet. Security call. Charge $500.
No further questions. At this moment, the judge asked the defense, cross-examination, and they said none. Then came the next witness. Special Agent Josh Croft, where do you work?
HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. I extract data from computers.
What is your training?
The Sands Institute.
What does that stand for?
I don't really know. They are opaque in that way.
What tools do you use?
TX1 and Digital Collector.
Whose laptops did you extract?
Cassie Ventura. This is a MacBook Pro, roughly from 2010, 2011, with a white case.
Did you boot it up?
I got to the MacBook factory default screen.
But you got data.
Yes, the hard drive had data not overridden by the factory reset.
What is unallocated space?
Something not viewable, something previously deleted.
Explain how computers store data.
You have a table of contents. A file can still be stored in unallocated space.
So on these 3 laptops, how are they backed up?
iTunes was used before iCloud. Some looks a little funky.
But you can validate the funky, as you say, data by going to the raw data?
Yes.
Nothing further.
On one of the laptops, there was a Frank Black profile.
Yes.
Did you process every file?
Yes.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Frank Black, did you proceed under Ms. Ventura's consent?
Under warrant.
At this moment, the judge said, no more witnesses. Jurors, I intend to release you early. Any objections? Don't read anything about the case. Go for a walk. Watch the Knicks avenge their Game 1 loss. And you must tattle. We're making great progress. All rise. And that was the end of today for the trial. What did you think about the...
Okay, so that was the end of the day. They're really moving through a lot of these witnesses relatively quickly. And let's see, what are you guys saying in the chat? Hey, BGF in the chest. So many people witnessed his abuse of Cassie, but no one ever reported. They afraid. I would think that they were afraid. I would definitely say that they were probably fearful, for a variety of reasons. You know, Diddy is a very powerful man with a lot of money and a larger than life presence in the industry. And I'm certain that some people just didn't want to chance going up against a figurehead like him, you know, coming out and speaking on the abuse, coming out and speaking on what they personally witnessed or knew. It could have been, you know, a bit concerning for them to do that just because of who he is in the industry. Also, let's not forget the point of like, who would believe their believability? Who are they going to believe? You know, are they going to believe you, or are they going to believe Diddy? That's a big, major question as well. Like, whose story is going to be considered as like the honest truth? That's that part, you know? So, I mean, I kind of understand, but then again, I don't get it because they should have spoken out. They should have they should have said something specifically, and especially the women, like KK and the other women associated with Diddy. I think they had an opportunity to probably not stop the abuse, but at least bring awareness to the situation. But guys, I want to take a little bit of time listening to an interview that Gene Deal, who has been speaking out for a number of years about Diddy, he sat down, I think, a couple of days ago to talk.
Platform, man.
Man, we've been here, done that. Let's do it again.
Yes, indeed, man. We got a lot to get into, man. There's a lot going on this week. The first week of Diddy trial. I got to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of people giving opinions now. At first, everybody was scared to give their opinion. All their stories, all they Diddy stories. He gonna break the internet. He gonna break YouTube. You see how many content creators is coming out and giving their opinion on this subject? Hell, man, it's crazy. Yep. So I guess you got a couple of questions for me right now, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot to ask you.
All right, man. Hey, before you get started, man, I know most of this stuff is going to be about the trial and everything like that, but I just want people to know that I want to say something regarding the whole trial that came out that I thought that was significant. And another content creator had somebody who came out and spoke on this stuff, and this is about D-Rock. I did a whole, you don't mind if I do this, Mighty, right?
No, break it all down. You got all the time
Right.
in the world.
All right, thanks, brother. I did a whole show. It's called The Biblical Betrayal of Biggie Smalls, where I lined up whatever happened to Big that night that week, and how it got played out to where he lost his life. When I said that D-Rock and Puff had Big go to that party. Now, it came out in the trial about D-Rock. Cassie was mentioning a lot of stuff about D-Rock. There's a couple stories I knew. One, D-Rock told me the story, you understand, when I first was trying to get in touch with Puff. And two, I heard what Cassie had said. But I don't want to address that because I don't know your line of questioning. But I do want to address this, that D-Rock is the one who got Big out the room, and that's when Puff had took D-Rock about all day, and me and Big was in a Winnebago together talking about his whole life story. Big told me his whole life story. I told this 1,000 times, brother. But in the trial, Cassie had said something about D-Rock being head of Puff security after I had left. You understand? And that's when D-Rock had came home. You understand? They all moved out to California, the whole 9 yards. Now, D-Rock let Puff trick him. I don't believe that D-Rock was that sinister and knew what he was doing. I can't believe that he knew what he was doing and getting Big to that party. I knew that Puff may have promised him something. Puff may have promised D-Rock something to help him get Big to that party. Because for some reason, Big had to be at that party because Puff is the one who, and you'll see in Kirk Burroughs' papers, that Puff is the one who scratched out Big trip from going to London. And then turned around and lied that Big didn't want to go to London.
Now, for those of you who do not know who Gene Deal is, he was one of Sean P. Diddy Combs's bodyguards. Long standing, he spent a number of years working for Sean P. Diddy Combs. And what he has been talking about for years has been Diddy's involvement in Biggie's unaliving. Gene Deal believes wholeheartedly that Diddy had a lot to do with what happened to the notorious B.I.G. in California. I don't know, and this is just my personal opinion. I don't know that I actually believe that Diddy had anything to do with that, because Diddy seems to me like a person that loves money. He enjoys money. So why would he cut off one of his biggest, at the time, one of his biggest sources of income? Biggie was bringing in so much money, but according to Gene Deal, rumor had it, well, he doesn't say it's rumor because he says that Biggie spoke to him about leaving Bad Boy. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe when it comes to Gene Deal, but he has been speaking out regarding Diddy for a number of years. I see that you said he's a quack. What did you say, Lisa? He's a crank. Too many people have spoken up after the fact. Yeah, yep, saying that say him they saw him abusing her. Yep, yep. All the other things he's done. I know. And you know what? That's the crazy part to me, BB, because we have to actually create a culture where it's okay to speak out against this type of violence. And I'm not just talking about violence between men and women. I'm talking about violence in general, whether it's a partnership in a relationship where there's, the abuser is the man or the abuser is the woman, or if it's a intimate partner relationship with same sexes, it doesn't matter. We need to have more of a zero tolerance for people abusing each other, because as we learned, and I mean, of course, many of you know that once abuse starts to happen, a part of your body and your brain's survival is to start to normalize that behavior. You start to become accepting of that behavior, or you make excuses for that behavior. But I just feel like we need to, as a society, start being more vocal about these situations, so that there's not these many people out here walking around hurt. There's a lot of people out here that are walking around with a lot of trauma from their childhood, trauma from relationships, trauma just in general. So I think that if we're more open and create more of a safe space as a society, as a community, as a people in general, I think we'll produce a lot more better, healthier relationships. And these people who consider to be the aggressor or consider to be a predator or an abuser will think twice, because they'll know there's a zero tolerance. But I'm not going to listen to any more of Gene Deal, because it sounds like he's going down the road of the Biggie conspiracy. And my opinion, I don't think that Diddy had anything to do with that. I'm just going to be very honest and very straightforward. Now, I have a different perspective in regards to Pac, but when it comes to Biggie, uh-uh. I don't think Diddy had anything to do with that. I would be surprised if it came out that he did indeed have anything to do with Diddy. I mean, with Biggie. But Pac, if he was saying that he had something to do with Pac, I would listen, but not Biggie. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed listening to the actual events from day 8 and also reviewing day 9. I don't really, today, as far as points go, because every single day I usually assign a point to either the prosecution or the defense based on their overall performance. Brian still did the cross examination for Kid Cudi. I think he did a phenomenal job. However, I think the government gets my point today. We are 9 days in, and currently the prosecution has 5 points and the defense has one. The other 2 days, I didn't really, neither side's performance wowed me or swayed me one or the other way. The reason I'm giving the government the point today for today's testimony and overall just what they presented is because the government is methodically connecting all of the dots and connecting all of the testimony as well as evidence back to their indictment. Okay? People may not see it because they're only looking at the surface. They're looking at Kid Cudi's testimony as, oh, Cassie cheated on Puff. That's why he was upset. And, Kid Cudi broke up with her because he felt like she played him. And, that's just that. No. In between there, the government just solidified from Cassie's testimony in which she provided evidence that Diddy said, I want his car to be blown up and I want him and his friends to see his car blow up, and it's going to be done while I'm out of the country so nobody can suspect that I did it. Now today with Kid Cudi's testimony, Cassie as well as Capricorn Clark contacted him to let him know that Diddy was breaking into his home with his staff. This is a RICO trial, okay? This is a RICO trial. Corporations do not operate like criminal enterprises. Diddy had his bodyguards and one of his assistants in a car at Kid Cudi's house breaking and entering. That is a crime. Okay? So the government is methodically laying out the building blocks and solidifying why they indicted him and are alleging the things that they have alleged in said indictment. So, bravo to the government. They are laying out their case and they're doing an excellent job at it. I think Brian still could have gone a little further with trying to poke some holes into Kid Cudi's testimony. I think he's, the thing about it is I feel like the defense is really playing it safe and they're relying on the jury to just be like surface dwellers. Like, okay, if I put it out there that, oh, Cassie lied to Cudi and created this drama between these two men, and that's probably why Puff got so angry, asked to break into the house. You cannot make an excuse for illegal activities. This is the court of law. You cannot make like little petty excuses for his behavior. So my point today goes for the prosecution. Prosecution 5, defense 1. So I will be back tomorrow to review day 10 of testimony. Hopefully it will be as interesting as the last 9 days have been. This is slated to be an 8-week trial, so I think it will get interesting as time, more and more interesting as time progresses. Guys, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing today. Be sure to set your notifications to all so that you're notified when I go live or add new content. Replay gang, let's congregate in the comments. What do you think about today's testimony? Like, if you guys have a different perspective, I definitely want to hear it. I appreciate all opinions, and I love when you guys hop into the comments. And I had a thought-provoking comment the other day, which was really good. I enjoy responding to you guys in the comments. So drop your comments. Please give us a like and share. All right, guys. Until next time.